Something that I was thinking about, and you can call me crazy for this one, but like, what if dark holes, what if black holes are like, they appear to us as this singularity of insane mass, but what if they're just like a nucleus or something, right? Um, and like that's it's like a proton that formed or something, and that would seem insane, right? That would seem insane. But then we think about, well, what does a black hole do? It takes energy in, like it takes in matter, right? And matter is energy, and so it's taking in this energy to keep itself, in existence. And we know if we look back in time, there was a point when only protons were like a thing, right? We didn't have like other uh, subatomic particles. We didn't have atoms forming or anything because nothing could form yet because it was still too hot, right? Well, what if it's still too hot and we're just so small, right? And so we're like, jump right in, the water's fine. But it's actually like billions of degrees. We just don't have any idea how hot it really is because we're so small, right? To us, high energy at a larger scale is nothing, right? Um, and so what if like black holes are actually just protons that have formed, and we think that the Big Bang was like way, way long ago, but actually it's happening right now. We're in the Big Bang. We've always been in the Big Bang. Um, but you know, what if like we think that the formation of protons was billions of years ago, but it's happening right now, just at a larger scale, and we can't tell because it's so much mass, or in another word, so much energy that it just boggles the mind, right? To us, it's incomprehensible. It becomes a singularity, and um, uh, I think, if you were to be small enough that a proton was the size of a black hole, you would look at it, right? And imagine you're at that scale. Well, everything around you looks like void, doesn't it? Everything looks like empty space at that scale, right? We know that proton. We know that the nucleus is an atom is mostly empty space. So why can't we just be floating in empty space, right? Because our whole bodies are mostly empty space, right? How would we know if we were in something solid, right? If you were an electron, flying through space, right? If you were an electron flying through my body, how would you know that you were inside a solid object? To you, there's nothing but free space everywhere, right? So, pretty much what I'm trying to get at with this one is, one, what if, and two, where does that put us? Are we on some kind of like upscaling cycle for infinity? Like, is one of my atoms right now also the like black hole in the sky? Like, that's probably not necessarily the case, but like, how do I know? And so, like I said, you can call me crazy for this one, but I think that it does have a little bit of merit. I don't think that it's necessarily something we could prove or disprove, but we know that, as I've said, as above, so below. And we know that on the lower scales that protons, existed, and basically they're sending out little bits of energy, but they are relatively self-sustaining objects, right? And so are black holes, and nothing else has just had time to form yet. Like, we haven't had neutrons or or maybe we have had neutrons. We call them neutron stars, right? We call we call them neutron stars, and we know that neutron stars form into protons. We know that neutrons form into protons, and what do neutron stars do? They turn into black holes at some point. I'm pretty sure, right? Right, that's a thing. And we know that with what is it? Beta decay, that neutrons become protons. So what if a black hole is a proton, a neutron star is a neutron, and electrons? I mean, electrons could be literally like everything. I don't know. I'm not sure. What comes out of what gets emitted out of a neutron star collapsing into a black hole? I don't know. Listen, I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm just saying, what if? Maybe, right? And so, what I'm trying to get at though is that the behavior of the very small appears to be similar to the very large, and maybe there's a reason for that. And maybe we're not as big as we think, but we're also not as small as we think, and everything is not what we thought it was. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Call me crazy. Whatever. Peace out.